Hi, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kendra Morgan. I'm a makeup enthusiast. I've been doing makeup for the past, long time. Anyways, if you enjoy makeup and beauty related content, then stick around, consider subscribing to my channel, and I put out content weekly for you guys. So let's get started. All right, this is the last episode of my series for duping the NATASHA DENONA BIBA palette, and I'm so excited for this, guys, because this is going to be the most likely palettes that you already have laying around. I mean, not laying around, stored around, that you can actually formulate the BIBA palette out of. So without any further ado, let's introduce the Sultry and the Modern Renaissance palette. And I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be able to accomplish this, but I want to tell you that most of the shadows I was able to create a look. It's the look that I have on today. Most of the warm shades, so Rose 1 and 2 on the NATASHA DENONA BIBA palette, are from the Modern Renaissance palette. And the cool tones, you can guess, come from the Sultry. So I found that I was able to dupe almost spot on NATASHA DENONA swatches from these palettes. Okay, I want to grade this dupe based off of the other dupes, and I want to do that based on three things. So similarities, how close they are to the NATASHA DENONA, the cost, and then any likes or dislikes that I have in regards to this. Actually, I like that hair in front. Yeah, let's do that, since I don't know hair at all. It's pretty well established. Okay, so in comparison, obviously we're taking and multiplying the palettes. So that's something to take into consideration. It wouldn't be something that would easily travel. The BIBA would obviously travel better, but I think that these are palettes that you guys probably already have in your collection, and they are palettes that don't get enough love, and I just really think that they work really well. So let's break down the cost. Sultry is, I believe, when Anastasia started, the $45 range, but you can still pick up the Modern Renaissance for $42. That's market retail price. Of course, Anastasia is always running really good sales, so if you ever happen to catch any of her sales, you can pick these palettes up for somewhere in the $30 range. So that would be a great asset to your collection if you don't already have them. In regards to likes or dislikes, I think this is the palette that I had the most fun creating my look out of, but it gave me the most romantic and feminine look, and not so much on the neutral side. When I did this look, I tried to recreate the same look that I did for all of my other series. So I started out with the shade Golden Ochre from Modern Renaissance and applied that all over the crease. Now, I wasn't able to apply that all over the lid because it has too much saturation. So as far as that shade goes, that wouldn't be a very good dupe to the NATASHA DENONA BIBA. Next, I buffed into the transition, the transition area, the burnt orange. Burnt orange has a slight brown undertone to it, so it's not as likely to give you that vibrant orange that you're expecting. And but it works. It really works, and it's beautiful. I mean, these two palettes really complement one another. Okay, so I took Venetian red, and that is the shade that I used in place of NATASHA DENONA BIBA's Rayon, and for that I slipped that into the outer crease and just gently buffed it towards the inner the inner lid. But it does carry a very, very heavy red hue. I mean, it's a red shade in the pan, so it's very, very red. So you might consider mixing it with something like red ochre. Okay. Now, here's where things got a little bit tricky, but they worked out just fine. Twig is the shadow that I replaced for Tor. I would say this is the least similar to to the Natasha Denona BIBA, but it does work. And if you dip into Twig and Dystopian just a smidge, you can then create that really dark charcoaly gray that Natasha Denona has in her palette, and you can really buff that into the lash line and then bring it up into that outer V the way that I've done in this look. Okay, I think for a dupe to the Natasha Denona BIBA palette, this is probably my favorite one because people likely already have this set up. And with Makeup Geek, with Unique Shadows, with any of the other shadows that I have in this series, you're not likely to have all of those shades, so you would have to go out and purchase, and that kind of grinds my gears in the economics and the beauty and, you know, how I feel about using what you've got and sticking to that. So in terms of duping, this is probably my favorite one because you're most likely to have these palettes already on hand and you're able to dig in and get started and create your own Natasha Denona dupe looks with that. Okay, there is some final thoughts that I want to make. If you are an avid ABH collector and you've already got this other palette that I'm about to mention, then you could further dupe the Natasha Denona BIBA palette, and I feel like it even gets closer to the Natasha Denona BIBA palette, but I'm going to go ahead and put on the screen up here the Natasha Denona BIBA palette, and then what I would replace the 3 middle shades, Rayon, Buff, and Tone, I would simply substitute out Sienna from the Soft Glam palette, Mulberry, and Rustic. And that gets me even a step closer to that Natasha Denona BIBA palette. So if you've got these 3 palettes, you're in like Flynn. And if you don't have them, don't worry about it. I've got some other videos that I'll link in the eye and down below in a series that I show you how you can just use what you've got, dupe with what you've got, and find some very awesome shades that will match the Natasha Denona BIBA's palette. Alright guys, that's it. Thanks so much for joining me. If you found this content useful, make sure you hit that like on your way out and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I put out content weekly, by the way. So join me next time. I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. Bye.